So what do you do after you've gone out with a girl on a date, had a great time with her, and then while you're waiting to contact her, she contacts you first, and you're wondering what you should do next? Should you ask her for a date? Should you not? Should you leave it alone? And this is a question apparently that, per the person that wrote me, has not been answered on YouTube or any other place before. And so I've had my experience doing this, and I figured it'd be a good thing to let you guys know what it is to do in this situation. So we're going to get into it. By the way, guys, you can go to HarryWilmington.com, check out my ebooks, audiobooks, check out the Get Girls Academy for more information and education, and you can sign up there for one-on-one coaching. All right, let's get into it. So, longtime follower of mine since back when I was doing my previous podcast show, he says, here's the story. After a few weeks of sporadic texting a smoking hot 19-year-old I matched with on Tinder, she finally agreed to go on a date. We went for drinks this past Saturday. Her idea to go on the prime weekend time slot. The date went well, and I left it at that. He's saying that prime time slot part because I always tell you guys that if you're the one that's trying to initiate the date, you should be asking for Sundays through Thursdays. I found that Fridays and Saturdays typically make women feel like they're being pressured to already choose you, and so you typically want to have her bring it up. The only caveat is if those are the absolute only days that she has available, or if she's the one that brings it up, then those days are perfectly fine. So he says, she had told me that she's not a great texter, which I know is a typical line indicating low interest, but she genuinely seemed like an old soul and said she's more of an in-person type. All right, so there's two things going on here we got to fix. For starters, her not being a big texter is not typical necessarily of low interest, okay? I have found women in general get annoyed when they give guys their contact information and then all the guy wants to do is text them nonstop throughout the day when she's at work or at school or with family or trying to get sleep or whatever. And so women typically, I found, respond better to when guys use the phone specifically to get dates. So what she's actually doing is she's actually letting you know that she recognizes from previous situations that guys over texting her was really annoying. And so she's hoping by telling you this that you're going to be the guy that gets it and is going to understand that texting her all the time is not going to build her attraction, and she doesn't want to waste her time doing all this miscellaneous texting when the whole point of the phone number in the first place is to be able to set up a time to meet up in person. So that's all that's happening there. The second part here, he says she genuinely seemed like an old soul. Do not buy into that. Like, you've only seen her one time at this point, and you've talked to her a few times on the phone. And so it's easy to try to make impressions early on about how you think a girl is going to be, but that can set up the trap for giving her more credibility to things that you have no proof of yet. Like, that'll lead to well, she has an older soul, so she's a bit more understanding than most women would be. And so it's going to be totally fine if I text or call her when I want to, because she totally don't give her that. Again, you treat all women the same, especially for the first 3 months until you've had time to properly vet her and see if she's actually a unicorn. Like, unicorns out there do exist, but you are not going to figure out that she's a unicorn after date number 1 and a couple of texts. All right, continuing, he says, so they went on the date, had a good time. He said, I decided I wasn't going to reach out until the next time I wanted to see her, which is what you should do. Last night, so he wrote me for context, they went out Saturday night, and then he says this happened on Monday night. So this is 2 days later. He says, I got a message from her, quote, "Hey stranger, are you alive?" I was pretty surprised to hear that because it had only been 2 days. We didn't hook up or do anything on our first date. We had a good time, but it's not like we hooked up and I didn't talk to her after that. So what he's experiencing is what will happen when A, you as a guy are more patient and are willing to actually wait to contact her, and B, what happens when a woman already has a high level of interest. So for context, a lot of women have it in their head that as the woman, they shouldn't be reaching out, they shouldn't be trying to call the guy first to do whatever. But as I say all the time, and it's what Doc Love used to say back in the day, is that interest level, high interest level, cuts everything. So let's say they'd gone on a date, and at the end of the date, her interest in him was like 60 to 65%. It's higher than when it first started out, but it's not at a high enough level for her to want to start making moves. So the reason that you wait between dates to contact her is to see if she's going to do anything that gives you an indicator of where her interest currently is. Because at the end of a date, you don't necessarily know if it's at 60% or at 75 or 80%. But if you wait, you'll see that things start to happen, like they may reach out. A woman reaching out to you after 2 days of not seeing you after that first date is indicative of a woman that has an interest level that is already at the 70% or higher mark. And that is a good thing because it's going to cause you to have to do less work. At the point that a woman starts to have high interest, you're going to find you can do less calling, less texting, and she's still going to be the one to fill in those gaps and do those things to reach out to you, because as she likes you more, she's going to be seeking out your interest. In other words, she's going to be chasing after you. And if she's chasing you, she can't be replacing you, right? So, continuing on, he says, anyway, before I replied, I wanted to see what the internet said when a girl sends you that message. And to my surprise, there was only videos about when a guy should message after a first date. Nothing about when the girl writes you first. Obviously, it's a sign of high interest, and I took the opportunity to tell her I'd like to see her again. But what my question is, I guess, is how should one reply to that? To me, asking her 2 days after our last date to go out again is too soon, but I also didn't want to come off as cold or uninterested, so I said we should go out again, which we enthusiastically agreed to. All right, so let's backtrack a little bit. So here's the thing. The general consensus and what's worked for me and what I've come to understand is this, is that most women, when they reach out to you, that is their passive way of saying, I want more of your attention and I want to go out again. Now, the way that dating is set up, women can't typically be the ones to do that. There were a few times when I was dating where, women would hit me up and say, hey, I had a good time with you the other night. I was thinking we could do whatever, right? But more often than not, they're just going to reach out because they're thinking that you as the guy should ultimately be the one to lead this interaction where you want it to go. And so let's say she reaches out to you and you decide you don't want to ask her out again. Well, now she hasn't proposed something that's going to get her rejected and embarrassed if you didn't want to lead it in a direction towards another date. And understand, just even though as guys, we don't like rejection, for women, it is darn near world crushing. Their whole existence for the most part is about trying to be accepted for a variety of reasons, whether it's like they want love, they want protection, they want safety. And so they want a guy that wants to give them those things, right? And so they're always seeking attention and attraction and affection and stuff like that. So what she's not going to do is say to you, hey, we should do a thing. But what she will do is put herself in your way. She'll reach out. Hey, stranger, are you still alive? The fact that she said still alive, that is definitely code for I hope you're still around because I'd like to see you again. And all your job is as a guy is when women make these kind of moves, you simply respond, hey, I'm still alive. Hope you're doing great. And then to the second part of the thing, he says, is it too soon to ask her out again? There's a difference between being too soon to ask her out and knowing when to set the next date. So this is after 2 days. At this point, you could say to her, hey, I had a great time in the last date. I'm busy the rest of this week, but let's go out again next Monday or next Tuesday. Or since this was, I'm a little bit late responding to this message because I had other stuff I had to attend to. So it's Thursday now as I'm recording this video. So you could easily say, hey, I had a great time last week too. Would love to see if you're free for this coming Sunday or Tuesday. Let me know what works for you, right? So the point is you can still set the date off a little bit more into the future. It's not like you have to respond to her and say, oh, I want to see you again too. Let's see each other tonight. You don't have to do that, but just her thing is she just wants to know that you want to see her again. And so whatever date you set, it could be the next day. It could be 4 days from now, 1 week, 2 weeks. They're just happy that you're actually inviting them to go out again. Okay. So don't think that there's any kind of thing you got to do in terms of she hit me up on day number 2. So I don't want to ask her out. You can totally ask her out for a date, but just set it a little bit into the future. So it's not like you're jumping on it, because then you'll still give the impression that your time is valuable, that you're a busy guy, and that in spite of your busyness, you're still going to manage to fit her in. See, women want to fit into your schedule. They don't want to become your whole schedule. And that's the mistake that most men make. So as long as you're saying, hey, I had a great time. I'd love to see you again too. Let's set a date for whenever. I'm busy this weekend, but I can definitely have some free time on Monday or Wednesday. Let me know what works for you and I'll set something up. And then you take the lead on that. You take the lead on the next activity you're going to do. At some point, she'll start suggesting stuff, but for right now, it's all about you doing that. So make sure that you have stuff in your arsenal ready to do. He said, let's see. He said, the funny thing is, before we met, she was very aloof and sometimes slow to reply. Then we meet once, and I got her saying, "Hey, stranger," after 2 days. LOL. Curious to hear your thoughts and congrats on the marriage. Well, appreciate it. So, yeah, that's the thing is that, you know, how a woman's going to communicate with you is going to change based on her interest level. So when you're just texting her, she's not getting that one-on-one time that's going to really, really let her know if she wants to actually hear from you more and see you more. And that's why, I think it's so prevalent. It's so important for guys to understand not to make the mistake of over texting women too soon, because there's this thing that men will do where they think because you're texting women a lot that she must be building a whole lot of interest by way of the phone. And the reality is you're just a simulation. Until you meet her in person, everything on the phone is just a digital simulation. But that in person, where she can see you, she can smell how good you smell and how great you look in your outfit, and she can actually hear your voice in person, and you're making her laugh, and she's starting to associate you with the things that she's feeling and the good time you're making her have. And that is going to be the exercise that helps build up her attraction and helps her determine, oh my God, this guy's so great, I want to reach out to him. So yeah, it's no surprise that it changed up, because that means whatever you did on that first date was great. And just because you guys didn't hook up, I think men make the mistake of thinking like, I gotta hook up with this girl really soon to get her attraction. Plenty of women can go out there and just hook up just because they want to do it and not feel anything. So the fact that you were able to have a great time on a first date to where she's reaching out to you, that's really the sign that indicates that she's building up this higher interest already, okay? So good on you for whatever you did on the date. Hopefully it was some of the stuff that I taught you. And for the rest of you guys that want to know the kind of things that I teach, you can go to HarryWilmington.com and sign up for the Get Girls Academy. It's got all my teachings there, from how to ask women out on dates, what to do with phone calls, the ins and outs of what to do during that first 3 months to actually get them to want to be in a relationship with you. I got a whole thing there called the Smart Digital Dating Program, which teaches you how to do online dating in a way that's going to actually get you dates and get you more results. I got industry experts that I interviewed. There's just a whole bunch of great stuff there. My ebooks are all there. So you can check all that out. Plus, you can sign up for one-on-one coaching at HarryWilmington.com. Anyway, guy, hope that answered your question. For the rest of you guys, if you have a question you want me to answer on one of these shows, you can write to me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com. You can also go to the YouTube page and like the videos, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be happy to assist you in any way that I can. That's all I got. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. I'm out. Peace.